I spent 6 weeks planning our 9th anniversary dinner. I picked the peonies because they were the exact shade of blush my mother Marcia used to grow. I handwrote the place cards in gold ink. I even coordinated with the chef at Leclerc to ensure the sea base was served at exactly 8:15 p.m. I obsessed over every candle, every seating arrangement and every vintage wine pairing. I didn't know I was planning my husband's arrest. I thought I was celebrating a decade of love. I didn't realize I was setting the stage for a decade of justice. As I adjusted Tristan's silk tie in the mirror that evening, I saw a man who had been my rock for 9 years. I didn't see the monster who had dismantled my family brick by brick before he even whispered his first, "I love you." Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know in the comments where you are listening from. My mother, Marcia, was a woman of few words and very sharp instincts. When I first brought Tristan Hale home, she didn't gush about his private equity career or his perfect smile. He just watched him. While my father, Gavin, a retired shift supervisor who measures life in pot roasts and loyalty, was busy making Tristan his famous beef stew, Marcia sat in the corner, nursing a cup of tea. "Delilah," she told me that night, "some men build houses to live in. Others build them to hide in. Tristan has too many closets for a man with no luggage." I laughed it off. I thought she was just being protective. Tristan was charming. He was successful. He was the man who stepped in when my brother Dominic went away. Dominic, my older brother, my hero. The man who had been the sun in our family's sky until the darkness of a wire fraud investigation swallowed him whole 8 years ago. Dominic went to prison for a crime he didn't commit. I watched him handcuffed in our driveway while Tristan held me, whispering that everything would be okay. Dominic served 3 years. When he came out he was different. Quiet. Hard. He moved to DC and joined the FBI. I thought he joined the FBI because pain had turned into purpose. I understand now that purpose had a very specific target. For years I believed Dominic had simply made a mistake in his early career. Tristan reminded me of it constantly, with sympathy, of course. "Poor Dom," he'd say over dinner. "He just wasn't cut out for the big leagues." But the truth was far more sinister. Tristan hadn't just stepped in after Dominic went to prison. He had sent him there. He asked to marry me with a plan already in motion to send my brother to prison. He had fabricated the evidence, framed the sister's brother, and then positioned himself as the savior of the grieving Pierce family. It was a hostile takeover of my life. 6 months ago my best friend Sienna started acting strange. She stopped coming to our Sunday brunches. She stopped looking Tristan in the eye. I had no idea she was holding a grenade with the pin pulled out. Dominic had found the evidence. A digital trail of $15,000 transfers Tristan thought he'd scrubbed. But he needed more. He needed Marcia's real will. When my mother died, her will had been swapped. The version we read left Dominic's share of the family land to Tristan, to manage for the family's benefit. It was a lie. Marcia would have never left her land to a man she didn't trust. Sienna had found the real will hidden in a safe in my father Gavin's house. A safe Tristan didn't know existed because it was buried under the floorboards of the tool shed. Sienna had known for 6 months. She didn't tell me. "Why didn't you tell me, Sienna?" I asked her later, my heart breaking. "Because you would have gone to him, Delilah," she whispered. "You loved him. You would have looked for an explanation and he would have run. Your mother asked me to look after you once. This was me looking after you." The morning of our anniversary, Tristan was in high spirits. He was drinking coffee and reading the Financial Times. My father, Gavin, had come over to drop off his famous pot roast for us to have for lunch the next day. "Big night tonight, Tristan," my father said, patting Tristan on the shoulder. Tristan smirked, that carefully constructed mask of confidence perfectly in place. "The biggest, Gavin. 9 years. Can you believe it?" My father looked him dead in the eye, his voice as steady as a mountain. "I would not miss it for the world, Tristan." Fast forward to 8:30 p.m. The restaurant was perfect. The lighting was low. Tristan was mid-sentence talking about a new acquisition, when the heavy oak doors of Leclerc swung open. I saw Dominic first. He wasn't in his usual hoodie. He was in a suit. Professional. "Ew. Dom. You came," I said, standing up, playing my part in a script I hadn't written. Then I saw the 2 people behind him. They weren't family. They were wearing windbreakers with gold letters that caught the candlelight. I watched 9 years of carefully constructed confidence leave Tristan's face completely. That was the moment I saw my husband for the first time. The color didn't just leave his skin. It was as if the soul he pretended to have evaporated. Dominic didn't look at me. He kept his eyes on Tristan. He walked to our table, the sound of his shoes on the marble floor sounding like a ticking clock. Tristan tried to stand. "Dom, what is this?" "This is our anniversary." Dominic reached into his jacket and pulled out a black folder. "Tristan Allen Hale. You are under arrest for wire fraud, obstruction of justice, and tampering with a legal instrument." The handcuffs clicked. It was a small metallic sound, but it felt louder than a gunshot in that silent restaurant. Tristan looked at me, his eyes pleading. "Delilah, tell them this is a mistake." I didn't flinch. I didn't cry. I just picked up my wine glass and took a slow, deliberate sip. "I looked into the dark, Tristan," I said, my voice dangerously quiet. "And I finally saw what was looking back at me." As the agents let him out, Dominic finally looked at me. His eyes softened for a fraction of a second. The weight he had been carrying for 8 years, the shame of the prison sentence Tristan had gifted him, was gone. I sat back down at the table. The sea base had just arrived. It looked delicious. "Is the food good here?" I asked Dominic as he pulled out Tristan's empty chair. "Because I picked this restaurant and I would very much like to eat something." Dominic sat. He picked up a fork. We ate in silence for a moment, the ghost of Marcia sitting right there between us. Later that night we went back to my father's house. Gavin was sitting on the porch holding my mother's old gardening gloves. He looked up as we pulled into the driveway. He didn't ask if Tristan was in custody. He knew. He looked at the sky, whispered something to the wind, and I caught the words, "Got him, Marca." Took us a while. But we got him. The real will was restored the next morning. The land was back in Dominic's name. The money Tristan had drained was traced. But more than the money, the silence was gone. For 9 years I had been living in a house built of lies. That night, for the first time, I slept in a home built of truth. Never let a man's charm blind you to his closets. Because sometimes the person holding your hand is the one who cuffed your family. If you've ever found strength in the middle of a betrayal, you're not alone. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more stories of justice.